I know that I asked a clarifying question to, like, figure out how to do this, but, I'll just yap about it, and then maybe you'll be convinced, because that's pretty much how I do it anyway. Okay, so, what I love about 911 is it's so fucking insane. Also, I love the queer rep in it, okay? Listen, like, first episode has just a married man, mind you, a man married to a woman coming out to his children and being like, I'm gay. He realized after all this time, after he literally married a woman, had children, that he's gay. Also, one of the firefighters is a lesbian. That is literally the thing that got me to start watching the show, was the fact that one of the firefighters was a lesbian. She's a paramedic, and she has a wife who is a rocket scientist, and they have a child. It's incredible. And then you have the homoerotic best friends, like, relationship between the two male best friends, Buck and Eddie, that you just sit and watch and question your sanity the entire time. Also, all the characters are so fucked up. They're so fucked up. One thing that I really enjoy that they do is they show that these people can do bad things, but they also are fully capable of growing and learning and finding their way to be a good or better person. They do that with a Bobby who canonically has, like, an addiction problem that I'm not going to spoil what ends up happening as a result of it, but it's, like, earth-shattering, life-ruining type of thing, and he was able to find, like, make a life after that and find his own way to love and happiness afterwards. Plus, one thing I fucking love about this show, the men cry. They cry. They fucking sob. Okay? I need you to understand. They go through so many traumatic things. And literally, I think it's the 5th episode of the first season, you have a grown-ass man, the fire captain, Bobby Nash, who is in his 50s, sob. Just say help and just break the fuck down and then get comforted by two different people. Like, they just hold him and he sobs. Okay? Men cry. I love shows and movies where men cry because men deserve to cry, okay? I cry so much, I have a tally on my phone for all the times that I've cried. I think I've cried, last year, I think I cried 92 times, and this year, I'm at, like, 60-something. I could be wrong, but, you know. Point is I cry a lot, and I think that people, like, it's good to cry. It's okay to cry, and I think it's especially hard for men to cry, and it's very much, like, not common to see media where men cry. Like, one of my favorite Bucky Barnes scenes in the entire fucking MCU, actually probably my actual favorite scene of Bucky, is in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, when they test his trigger words to see if they'll actually, like, activate the Winter Soldier after all the time of trying to, like, deprogram him, and he is just sobbing, just sitting there sobbing, saying it's not gonna work. And when they, like, they're just saying them, and he's just sitting there sobbing, and then when it doesn't work, and she says, "You're free," he is still just sitting there, like, tears streaming down his face. He's losing his mind. It is a beautiful performance from Sebastian Stan, and it's just a really good fucking scene to see a man cry like that. And what makes it even better is the fact that this is, again, World War II veteran, and the former Winter Soldier. Like, that is the, like, last person that you would think would be okay with crying and would have a scene where he's crying the way that he does. Like, it makes sense that he would, but at the same time, you don't think that you would see a scene of him doing that. Anyway, back to 911. One of the main characters, my personal favorite character, apparently, I recently made the discovery that this is in fact my favorite character, Eddie Diaz, who was introduced in season 2, by the way. He has a son who is disabled, has cerebral palsy, and is played by an actor with cerebral palsy. And there's a lot of, like, casual disability representation, just, like, on the calls and such, but that is one of the things, too, where you know, my partner is a certified disability support worker and works as a spec at EA, and so they actually really, like, that was one of the things they made note of when I started watching it, was that Eddie has a kid with cerebral palsy, and that they really appreciate that representation and the representation in the show. So, you know, I'll trust their judgment that it does a pretty decent job with disability rep. They do have a canonical autistic character on one call that both of us hate, just because it's terrible autistic representation. We say that as both autistic people, and they say that as someone who works with autistic kids, that it's not good. But it's one episode, and also, like, honestly, in general, like, autistic representation is just, it kind of sucks. Though, to be honest, oh, also, I'm not gonna go on a tangent from there, but Buck, well, he doesn't, like, canonically explicitly have ADHD. Someone in the fandom actually made a whole thread on why they thought that Buck had ADHD, one of the main characters in the show, by the way. And Oliver Stark, who plays Buck, actually saw it and then said, like, fully agreed with their assessment, and said that going forward, they're going to intentionally play Buck as being, like, having ADHD. As a person with ADHD, really appreciate that, and also, like, again, there's a lot of, like, things in storylines and with his character that is, like, yes, this is a character with ADHD. This is very clear. Also, like, half the characters didn't go to college, or dropped out of college, which I think is just really fun, because, like, there's like, a big narrative that you have to go to college to, you know, make a living, and, like, a good chunk of these characters never did. And in fact, like, some of them don't use their degree, because what they went to college for, they just don't do in their regular jobs. So that's just, like, an interesting thing that they do in the show that I appreciate. As a 20-year-old who is still trying to figure out if I actually even want to attempt going back to school, primarily because it's so fucking expensive, but, you know, also just, like, in general, like, is it for me? But it's fun and silly, but also heartbreaking, and also kind of insane at the same time. And you honestly never know what you're getting into. Like, from one episode to the next, you never fucking know what's gonna happen. It really keeps you on your toes, and it keeps you entertained. I will say, and I say this every time I try to get people into the show, and every time I have gotten people into the show, season 5, is hard to get through. If you find that you get to season 5 and you're like, you want to quit, stick it. Just stick through it. I promise it gets better. All throughout watching season 5 for me, because I binged it, I just kept saying, the vibe is so off. It gets back on track, mostly by the end, mostly in season 6, though. Like, season 5 as a whole is just very off. But, yeah. That's me attempting to get you into 911. If you have any questions, let me know. But this is what I do. This is how I get people into 911, or convince people to watch 911, is I just yap.